Welcome to Keeping Up with Jones, the Lonnie Jones podcast adventure. You are going to hear the stories from the eclectic life of a guy who is a professional counselor, a family man, a SWAT team chaplain, outdoor enthusiast, a guy involved with ropes, 10th Planet Jiu-Jitsu, a chaotic Jedi, and who is a recipient of an honorary doctorate from the University of Adversity. Using these stories, we take the facts lead to concepts, and from the concepts we make a variety of life applications. Just a caveat about the facts. Most of the time we will tell you the facts just the way it happened, but once in a while we'll give you the facts the way other people remember how it happened, and that usually includes a tablespoon of embellishment. No harm is meant, just good, clean fun for educational purposes. Please subscribe and share this with your friends or your enemies. It might help them to be better people if they listen. As always, we thank you for keeping up with Jones, the Lonnie Jones podcast adventure. Introducing the Bible degree with digital ministry. Paul used the marketplace and the synagogue to reach an expanded audience. We have access to the internet and social media. I once heard it said that when McDonald's introduced the drive-through window, they did not change the Big Mac, only how it was delivered. Faulkner University is now offering a new digital ministry track for their Bible degree. Faulkner's degree provides training in understanding and teaching the gospel, alongside training that will allow students to create quality digital content. Opportunities for evangelism in the digital spaces is unlimited, and this is innovative ministry education for our contemporary culture. One of the instructors is a 2-time Emmy-winning former ESPN designer. Members of the Church of Christ could be eligible for the full tuition Jack Zorn Scholarship in order to pursue this special area of study. For more information, contact admissions at faulkner.edu. That is admissions at faulkner.edu. Faulkner University is a digital partner with Keeping Up with Jones, the Lonnie Jones podcast adventure. TKM Incorporated in Moss, Tennessee is a construction company that specializes in erosion control, seeding, and soil, hydroseeding, hydromulch, minor excavation, and silt fence. They also provide traffic control and construction signs. Their business is keeping people safe, but their passion, their mission, is they wish that all men could be saved. TKM has adopted the nickname the King's Men because as they serve you, they also serve the King. If they could provide any of their services for you, please contact them at 931-243-3958. That is 931-243-3958. Or you can contact them on the net at tkminc2001 at twlakes.net. That is tkminc2001 at twlakes.net. TKM Incorporated is a sponsor of Keeping Up with Jones, the Lonnie Jones podcast adventure. Pickle Vision. Yeah, that's really a thing. But it has nothing to do with cable television and cucumbers in various stages of fermentation. It is the ability of one named Daryl Pickle, bow fishing captain, fishing guide, and legend, to see things in the water that other people doubt are there and that mere mortals cannot see. Bow fishing can be done in the daytime, and we've made several daytime trips when the gar are on spawn, or we go up to Kentucky and shoot the large Asian carp. But more often than not, it's done at night. Pickle takes teens out every Friday night between April and September. And his mission, he says, his ministry is to expose young people to the outdoors and show them that you can stay up all night. You can spend all night and have the best time of your life and never compromise your morals. And he also wants to show them God's creation in a whole different light. And the pun is intended. Now, as he pilots this boat through the backwaters of Alabama, and you're standing there beside him, most of the fish are easy to see, especially if you have clear water and when you consider the size fish we're shooting. But on every trip, And I mean, every single trip, you'll be standing up there beside him. The trolling motor is very quiet. You'll be gliding across the moonlit waters, and he'll look at you with this grin on his face. It's like a mule eating sawbriars, and he'll go, "Do you see that fish?" Or he'll say, "Shoot that fish." And most mortals will respond, "What fish?" And Pickle will point, and you won't see what he's pointing at. And then finally, Pickle will shoot into the water, and lo and behold, a fish will be on the end of his arrow. It's as amazing as it is frustrating, and I can't explain it. I don't know if it has something to do with his retina. I don't know if it has something to do with the shape of his eye. I don't know if it has something to do with the time that gar flopped and splashed gar slime into his eye, and it gave him mutant superpowers. But it happens on every single trip. He says he sees fish that nobody else can see. Well, on one such trip, Pickle was doing the "Can you see that fish?" stick, and we were fishing with Kyle Butt. And Kyle looks at him and goes, "There's not a fish down there. You don't see a fish." Pickle shot the bow and held the fish up on the end of his arrow, and he looked at Kyle and said, "If I tell you there's a lollipop on the bottom, you better lick your lips." I was on the boat one night, and we were running down by the edge of a large field of lily pads. And I don't know if a group of lily pads is called an armada, a flotilla, or a field. But anyway, they were lily pads as far as you can see, and we were fishing the edge of it. And Pickle looks at me with that look. Do you see that? And I did not. So I said, "No, I don't see it. I don't see anything. Why don't you just go ahead and shoot it?" Well, he pointed at a lily pad. And he said, "There's a fish right under that lily pad." I said, "There's no fish under there. I don't see it." He said, "Tell you what, you shoot in the dead center of that lily pad." And I drew back my bow and I shot and center punched this large green circle. And to my amazement, the arrow did that funny quiver thing and began to glide through the water, indicative that you have impaled a fish. Now, before there was Pickle Vision, before I'd ever shot an arrow at a submerged fish, I was frog hunting. As a charter member of Frog Busters International, a highly elite group of amphibian hunters formed in 1984 in Alexander City, Alabama, composed of about 4 or 5 people. As a charter member of Frog Busters International, I've hunted and shot at lots of frogs. I'm even the nominee for the coveted Purple Trident Award and actually won the thing in the summer of 1984. I feel like I'm your above average frog hunter. Well, my frog hunting adventures started, in with my dad, of course, and then they carried on to Alexander City. And then when I moved into this area, I began to frog hunt on the property that's owned by the Norris family. Now, the Norris family owns property and a couple of ponds outside Douglas or Horton, Alabama. My dear friend Caroline Norris is the matriarch of this clan, and I've hunted frogs with them in conjunction with speaking events at the Alder Springs Church of Christ since the year that Jackie was expecting Lonnie Beth. I go down there to preach. I go down there to do a gospel meeting. I speak on a Wednesday night, and we get together, and after church we go frog hunting with these guys. The only other crew I enjoy frog hunting with as much as them is a group of folks, Mark Cagle, Franklin Cagle, and a kid named Jared and Anderson. Now, there's some girls that go with us and lots of guys from the congregation, but it's when I'm over in the company of the Bethel Church of Christ in Dunlap, Tennessee. Mark drives the side-by-side, and then Franklin and Jared serve as their guides. And they're pretty serious country boys who aren't afraid to get in the water to get a frog. The last time we went, they led this merry band of young ladies and teenagers, and we crawled through the grass, and we crawled under hot fences, and we literally waded into the ponds. Jared and Franklin will get in the water chest deep. Jared, crazy as he is, swam out into the pond wearing a carbide light like a golden retriever with a headlight just to retrieve a frog. I really enjoy hunting with that group. And when I go and speak at Bethel, we always get together at least one night and try to chase some frogs. Now, the fellowship that I'm in, the Churches of Christ, we're not a religious fellowship that handles snakes. But the frogs we've hammered, listen, with that crew, the frogs we've hammered, we might be able to feed to 5,000 if you add up the frogs I've killed with the Alexander City folks and the Alder Springs folks and the Bethel folks. Well, my friends from Alder Springs, back to them. They had led me to the ponds that is on the Norris property. And we were not using my small aluminum boat. We were using the little aluminum boat I call Frog Sniper 1. But we were out there hunting with a gaggle of kids. And as we were hunting with this gaggle of kids, the frogs they're being difficult. They're being jumpy. No pun intended. And it was difficult to get in a position before the frogs disappeared into the murky water. And no doubt, there's a combination of the banks being a little bit overgrown, lots and lots of activity on the bank, lots of helpers, lots of teenagers, and more lights than a carnival. And then these teenagers don't exactly have a stealth setting. Well, I normally use a neo-traditional method. Now, what I mean by neo-traditional is it's a gig, but it's not a standard gig. It's been called a pole spear or a Hawaiian slingshot. And so you got this long piece of aluminum and it has 3 prongs on it, but the prongs are not aligned side by side like a trident. They're set up in like a triangle, and they're maybe 4 inches long, and they're barbless, and they're arrayed to make this triangular thing. At the end, not the pointy end, but at the other end of this long pole is a large loop of elastic strap. It's surgical tubing. Well, you grab that strap between your thumb and your forefinger, and you reach forward and you put your hand just as close to the gig part as you can. And so now you've got this pole behind you under tension with all this potential energy, and it's under this tension with this elastic line. And then you find your target and you point the pointy end at the target. And then as you open your hand, because of the elastic behind you, it slides through your hand and spears or captures or pins your frog to the bank, to the bottom, or just spears him in the water. Now, because the pole spear is not as long as the traditional long-handled gig, you've got to get a little closer to the frogs. And if you're not with a good quiet group and you're not moving real well, then it makes it really, really difficult. So the frogs are jumpy, no pun intended, and it's being a very difficult night. So I decided, and this is before I had met Franklin and Jaredon, I decided, hey, I'm going to get in the water, see if I can do better facing the bank than from the bank. And so I sloshed off the bank and I began to easily, quietly wade through the water. One of the guys on the bank was kind of serving as a spotter for me, and he shone the light and he said, hey, I can see a frog. Well, he could see a frog that I couldn't see. I guess he's preparing me for when I met Daryl Pickle. Well, I walked over close to the bank and I loaded my gig, and he started giving me directions. He said, hey, turn your light on. And so I turned my light on, and he said, up, over, okay, a little bit to the left. Hey, narrow your beam. I adjusted the beam. He said, hey, that frog is right in your beam. And with nothing else to go on, not even Pickle Vision, I aimed the pole spear and let it fly into the center of the circle of light. And then the kids started shouting, you got him, good shot. Wow, I don't believe it. And the point is, it was about belief. I couldn't see it, but I acted on information that somebody else had. I gigged a target I couldn't see. I shot a fish I never saw. I had a pretty accurate description of where the target was, and I had some good coaching on where to aim my bow and where to aim my gig. And in both instances, I took a shot in the dark at something I couldn't see, but believed or trusted was there. Faith is the circle of light or floating lily pad that shows us where we should aim. Faith is the circle of light or floating lily pad that shows us where our target is, even though we can't actually see the target. And it's a matter of acting on belief. Faith is not believing in God, but faith is believing God. The actual definition is faith is the substance of things hoped for and the evidence of things not seen. Or faith is being sure of what you hope for and certain of what you do not see. You don't have to see it to believe it. In order to trust someone to guide you, you simply have to believe that they can see things you cannot. They know things you don't know. And in some cases, not only do you not have to see in order to believe, you have to believe in order to see. If you say you believe and you don't aim, do you really believe? If you say you believe and you don't shoot, do you really believe? If you say you believe and you don't obey, do you really believe? If you say you believe but you don't make the effort, you don't make the change, you don't try, do you really believe? If we say we believe and we don't act, do we really believe? I hope you get the point. Using the tool of shortwave radio, World Christian Broadcasting literally covers the world every day with the gospel. They use 2 large curtain antennas. One is located in Anchor Point, Alaska, and the other in Madagascar. They send out messages that are recorded at their international home in Franklin, Tennessee. They make available 40 hours of broadcast every day. The broadcasts are made in English, Chinese, Russian, Spanish, Portuguese, Korean, English for Africa, and Arabic. They would love for your group to visit them. You can bring your ladies group, your youth group, or your men's group. Just give them a call at 615-371-8707, 615-371-8707, or you can go to 3W's.worldchristian.org, find the Donate Here button, and make a financial contribution to support this work that literally covers the world every day with the gospel. World Christian Broadcasting, in cooperation with Keeping Up with Jones, the Lonnie Jones podcast adventure.